Why has art been with us human beings since cave time? The first thing that men did when they could stand on their feet was art. Drums, paint in a cave, dance, sing. It passes to the next generation knowledge, feeling. I think it's part of what we are.
And are you conscious of that when you're working? Is that an effort on your part?
No, I don't think that you can do that. I don't think that anybody can say, I'm going to create something for posterity. I'm going to create a masterpiece. That happens few times to few people, and it is just by chance. Art is abundant. It's like nature. In nature, you have so many seeds, millions of seeds of pollen that is wasted, goes wasted. For one seed to create a plant, to bloom, one seed, there are millions that are lost. And nature doesn't care. It's generous. That's the way I think art works. In such an abundance and generous and wasted way for one thing to be durable. But I'm not thinking about that when I write. I'm thinking of entertaining my reader, grabbing the reader by the neck, and don't let him or her go until the very last page. I want to share a story, that's it.
So you talk about captivating your reader, and you talk about the importance of starting the story and just holding them the whole way through.
And in that sense, journalism helped me a lot. As a journalist, I had very little space. I had a deadline. I had to write fast. I didn't have much space. And in the same page, you are competing with other news and other articles and other journalists. And then that media is competing with other media. And everything will go into the trash tomorrow. That sense that you have to get your reader is really important. You have 6 lines in journalism. In a book, you have 6 pages. But still, if you don't get the reader, then what's the point?
So how do you do that? How do you do that?
How do I do that? I start with something that has impact. The other day, there was a reading at Book Passage. I was promoting one of my books, and Book Passage is a wonderful bookstore here in Marin County. And a person said, I want to write a memoir, and I don't know how to start. And I said, well, start with something awful. Let's say suicide. And we kept on talking. Unfortunately, the husband of that lady had committed suicide. Now, how could I guess? I mean, it's just one of those horrible things that you say without even thinking. And so, because she said, oh, I know how I'm going to start. And then everybody sort of laughed. And actually, that happened. But if it happens to me, if I'm writing a book, I start always with something that has impact. And from there on, I sort of weave the rest. But also, I try to keep tension. I end a chapter with something that will bring the reader to the next chapter. I did, for a short time in my life, theater. I wrote theater. And in theater, you end a scene always in a way that we will bring people back from the intermission. Otherwise, everybody will leave. So it has to be, the tension has to be at the end of the scene. And every scene is treated like a whole. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I think that that's what I try to do in the writing, too.
I think you do, too, reading your work. And yet I read someplace, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't outline very much and that you don't consciously structure very much. Is that right or no?
I don't at all. I start with a feeling, with an idea in my mind. I have many ideas, and people give me ideas. So they are all like little seeds in my belly. Some of them start to grow and bother me. And then I know that it's time to look at it. And I start researching. In the research, something comes up or doesn't. If it doesn't, I drop it. If it does, and I begin to be passionate about it, then I know that that's probably going to be a book. By January 8th, I have most of the research done, so I know where it's going to happen. I know about the place and the time when it's happening. That's all I know. And then in the process, in the slow process of writing, things happen. The characters emerge and they start doing things and interacting, and then I need someone, I bring that person in. Sometimes my main character happens to be a jerk and disappears on page 60. Usually beautiful women disappear too. I just don't like them. They don't make good characters. Handsome men don't work either. People who are complex, contradictory, who have a problem, outsiders, people who live in the margins, not under the umbrella of the establishment, those are the people that will end up carrying the story. And I already know that. Usually also people who have some kind of defect, visible defect, physical defect, that usually makes that character memorable. So I work with that, and then I find myself surprised by the things the characters do.
Well, you make it sound easy.
It isn't.
No.
It isn't. It's stressful. It's and I'm horribly critical of my own work. So until I don't get it right, in my opinion, I don't let go. And I keep writing and keep revising and keep changing and throwing away and going back until I think it's done, and then it's never done. There's a moment when you just give up and you say, okay, this is all I can do. But I know that everything can be improved. It's like marriage. Everything can be improved.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hemingway said writing is rewriting.
Exactly. 1,000 drafts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not easy. And then there are 300,000 titles, new titles every year. Why are they going to buy my book?
Mm-hmm. So would you call yourself a very disciplined person? Does it take discipline to create art?
No, not to everybody. Some people are just very talented. Mm-hmm. And they are so talented that they don't need to stress themselves too much. But I'm not. I need discipline and work.
You know, and I hear that, but on this show, we've interviewed a lot of artists, and I haven't heard one artist yet say ideas just come to them and they do them. What I do hear is they work very, very hard to get that, to find the idea.
First of all, I always say, read what you like, because what you like is what you will eventually end up writing. Those are your masters, your teachers, your models. It's not that you are plagiarizing or that you are copying them, but they influence you, they give you something. And I think that that's important.
But what if you haven't been exposed to great writers, as a lot of people I meet have not? They've been exposed to...
Then you can go to a good independent bookstore, talk to the people, and give me a few novels I want to... Let's say let's say that I would be planning to write a book about a love story in the Second World War, for example. Then I go to Book Passage and I say, give me novels, stories about that time. And then I start listening to the voices. And I say listening because I get a lot of audiobooks and I listen to them in the car. I commute a lot. And I listen and I read, and then I get a feeling of something that I didn't have before. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm going to write about something else, like my book on the island beneath the sea, then I need to read history books, I need to read abolitionist documents. It's another kind of research. But I also read novels about the time and biographies, because all that helps.
So my I have a writing friend named Stuart Stern, who's a great writer, and he does this writing exercise, and maybe you'll do this with me. So I'm going to give you the beginning of the line, and you finish the line. My mother always
was beautiful. She had many suitors, and she had a very lonely heart, and she was very vulnerable. And men took advantage of that. And I could see that. And I wanted to protect my mother. And I became very strong trying to protect this woman who was like my child.
My mother never...
My mother never failed me. My mother never abandoned me. She went through life and all the difficulties of life with her 3 children. I was just stuck to her.
My father always...
My father always had the reputation of being very smart and having a great charisma and being very, very liked socially. And he was never in my life. I have never, only very lately have I seen a picture of him. I didn't even know how he looked, because when he abandoned my mother, she destroyed all the pictures.
And my father never...
My father never missed me, never saw me, never came when he was called.